Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for coming. I do understand this is a sort of a trade audience. You're here to buy as well as to come and listen to people like me. So I'm going to give you a short talk about building your digital business. I understand the majority of you are trading online at the moment. We have a good spread of small, medium-sized businesses. And I hope you can take away a little bit of learnings from someone like myself who's been in digital about 20 years now. A little bit more about me. I've been in digital quite a long time, a strong track record of growth. I'm currently at the Rug Company, which is a UK global design brand. We make handmade rugs, like the one you see on the screen behind me. Prior to that, I was at George Jensen. They're a Danish design brand, slightly bigger business, more global. Prior to that, I've worked in specialist UK retail agencies, consulting, sort of been through the sort of the scale-ups, the sales cycles in private equity, and family-run businesses. Why am I here today? Well, actually, the organisers contacted me to see if I'd be interested in talking about building your teams. And the reason I agreed to do the talk is because I really enjoy building teams. It's something I discovered in my career that is just literally the first thing you should be thinking about if you want to scale up your own business. People are the number one thing you need to care about. It comes before anything else, the technology, anything else. And hopefully you'll get some key takeaways today from that. So some things I'm going to take you through. We're going to talk about planning your team for your e-commerce or your online business. I'll share some frameworks, some models that you can take away, use. I can talk about them later, or we can take questions afterwards. I'll talk a little bit about technology, and I'll give you some key takeaways to take back to your own business. So one thing I wanted to share with you, which is literally my daily focus. So I'm the digital director at the Rug Company. So my remit is literally the entire digital landscape of that organisation. So from the website, the marketing, the content, anything that touches digital. What I think about day to day are these three things, right? Your team, trade, how are my sales doing? How are my team doing? You can't trade if you don't have a team. And how's the development, so the projects, the things that we're changing to improve the sales, basically. The main point I'm trying to make here is basically you can have all of the good technology in the world, you can pay expensive consultants, you can have strategy, all of that cool stuff, the shiny stuff, but if you don't have the right people in the right roles, who are trained with the right tools, with the right ambition, who know where they're going, you won't get anywhere, basically. And that's basically the number one thing I've learned in my career today. Building teams, winning the hearts and minds of those teams, because you can hire great people, but if you don't give them the direction to where you want to go to, and you don't literally win their hearts and minds, you still won't get there. So I think your job as the leader or the leader in your business is fundamentally to create the conditions for success. And my view is fairly simple. Like, if you think about my job is leadership is a service I provide to the rest of my team, and the service I provide is creating the conditions for success, basically. So yeah, I'm always thinking about the team. So some things to think about when planning your team. I think if you think about your own business now, so I'm conscious that everybody has their own different size businesses. You've probably all got different business models. Some of you are selling direct, maybe some of you are using a wholesale model, whatever the size and context of your brand. I think you can use some of this. So one thing I suggest you do is think about your customer journey, given the size of your business. Think about the experience you want to deliver and work backwards, basically, from the moment the customer gets your product in their hand, how they're going to get that. What are the steps you need to take to get the product in the hands of your customers, basically? And that goes right the way back from fulfillment, delivery, to the experience the customer has on your website or in a retail store, right the way back to you designing, developing the product, marketing, taking it to market, and getting your brand and product out there. Once you've figured out that part of the journey, then figure out the people who need to actually enable that to happen. You need to decide at certain points whether to bring things in-house or to outsource them. Probably one of the learnings I've learned in my career today is, I've sat in many projects, meetings, discussions where at the heart we normally come back to the fact that we, as in my team, we're either traders, manufacturers, sellers of product. We're not necessarily developers, coders. You can hire that kind of stuff in to get people to do those types of things for you. When you reach a bigger scale, then you can consider bringing that in-house as well. But there's definitely, on the technology side of things, you probably want to outsource that to begin with. It's all case by case, depending on the size of your business, what markets you're trading in, your product, and so on. But have a think about that. A couple of tips that I would give you straight off is, in terms of starting small, and again, going back to number one priority about the team, is find or hire that number one digital person. So whether that's your head of e-commerce, your digital manager, whatever the title, you need to find one person who understands that journey I described and can basically do a bit of everything. So trade the site, change the content on your website, run the digital marketing agency, do the digital marketing yourself, send emails in MailChimp, run Google AdWords, whatever your channels and traffic require, get somebody who understands that and can manage your partners and work with you and the rest of the business, IT, logistics, and so on. Because you need to have somebody that understands that it basically touches most areas of the business. Also, give them a strong number two, right? So give them somebody like a coordinator role, and like a doer, and you'll find that stuff will get done a lot quicker. Make sure the people you hire are hands-on. Make sure they actually can work the systems, have experience in the systems. Get them to prove it to you. Give them a short trial period, whatever it is, but don't just hire someone and find out later that they're not actually hands-on, because that's an unpleasant experience. Spend time finding the right partners, and by that I mean agencies, anybody who's going to help you build, design, run a website, basically, because the partners are basically more important than the technology. Technology can come and go. The partners are going to be there with you, and you need to have somebody you can trust, basically. And as you grow and scale up, you can start replicating that. One model I will share with you, and I'm sure you can get these slides somehow from the organisers. This canvas I use quite a lot, actually, when I start in a new business or when I'm thinking about the team. Like, have I got the right people doing the right things at the right time with the right tools and resource? This canvas is quite useful because it basically takes you left to right. It goes brand, product, put the product on the website, sell the product, deliver it to the customer, and then look after that customer with some sort of customer relations. And there's different layers in there with your product, your customer, and the store being your e-commerce website. So what I did for you is I laid over that, just some names, basically, and roles of the types of people that you will need to do that end-to-end piece. I do appreciate, some people will have smaller businesses and some are much larger businesses. This can work for any business, and you can have one person doing multiple things. The key point is just to make sure you're covering all bases, and that means you understand who is going to update my website, who is going to put the products on the website, who's going to make sure I'm delivering traffic to the website, traffic that will convert, not just any old traffic, who is going to make sure we've got enough inventory to fulfill the demand, so your supply chain, who is then going to look after those customers if we've got an issue, can they contact me easily, and so on. And then who's going to look after those customers, basically, once they've bought. Who's going to get those customers to come back to you and buy again? It's much easier to do that than it is to acquire new customers. So think about all of those roles, and it's a really handy framework that you can use day to day. That's the top section. The kind of the bottom section under here, you may not have a finance team or supply chain, but you need other functions in your business that are going to help you basically manage the business. So whether it's supply chain, IT, support, infrastructure, architecture, all of those things you need to take care of to ensure your business can keep running and has resilience, especially when there are bumps in the road like COVID, etc. So I'd urge you to use something like that to plan out and understand the full remit of your digital business. The other part I'll share with you is just to actually understand the basic e-commerce growth model, because this might be basics to some of you may not have seen it before, but often I come across teams who actually don't really understand the math behind e-commerce. And this is one of the most basic things you should try and grasp. And it's fairly simple, right? You get traffic to your website, traffic times conversion rate gives you an order. You have set the price of your products, so average price, and you will have units per order or units per transaction. So average price times units per transaction will give you average order value. Orders times average order value give you your revenue. It's very basic, and probably some of you understand that, maybe some of you don't. But really, the key part is these top circles here. Each one of those warrants like a deep dive. So you should be able to understand and figure out what are my levers to grow traffic. So which channels give me the highest quality traffic? So probably if you email your customers, that'll probably convert pretty well. If you buy traffic on Facebook, it will convert a whole lot less well. So you need to have an understanding for yourself and in your team, what are the levers that affect each one of those? What is my promotional strategy? What am I doing at Christmas? All of that you need to understand, because all of it will add up to give you revenue. So please, dive into that one, because I think you will find that useful. And going back to that, make sure you've basically resourced, if I go back one, make sure you've resourced the right roles that are going to move some of those circles. So primarily people that understand marketing, basically. So once you've got a handle on that, then I think the other things you can think about is once you've got a handle on the basics of e-commerce, you've got a website, you're a functioning business, cool. You can also begin to understand about, well, how do I want to scale up my business? There are a whole ton of other channels that you or will be selling in, or that brands can sell in. So you need to think about those. Physical retail, wholesale, marketplaces, social, pure play wholesale. There's a whole quite confusing range, actually, of channels that you can sell your product on. And I guess one of my takeaways is, you don't always get it right. So you don't always get it right as to, am I getting a good return on a particular channel? You may end up with channel conflict. You may end up having a wholesaler selling at a different price than you are direct. So those types of things you want to manage quite carefully, and you want to have people in place who understand how to manage that. The other part is just really to understand that digital, it does affect literally all areas of your business. So it can be quite, take up a lot of energy and time to make sure you're putting your focus in the right place, I would say. And again, that comes back to the people you've hired, and that your immediate team will always be the number one priority. But you will need to build good relations, particularly with your IT team, supply chain, finance, anyone else who's effectively servicing you. I am also conscious that, these types of models are, bigger global brands, but you can, these types of thinking around the channels, the thinking about what is best for me, my product, my brand, my budgets, what's going to give me the most return. You should start to think beyond just your e-commerce website. And in fact, if there's one thing the pandemic has taught us, is that there was a boom in D2C, or direct-to-consumer commerce, and pretty much a whole chunk of those direct-to-consumer brands have now realized they need to be in physical retail, wholesale, basically. So that's also interesting that many of them are going that way. And it isn't a surprise that in 2023, a lot of the people are predicting customers will return to physical stores. Like, I don't get that. I mean, that's always been the case. So, yeah, a little bit about that. A little bit on technology, because this is the other thing that I think about a lot. Technology is really important because it's going to enable you to do business, and it's going to enable you to take your product to market, and it's going to enable you to be able to reach customers you otherwise would not be able to reach. Fine, we all get that. But I would really encourage you to just think that technology can only get you so far, right? So vendors, suppliers who will tell you, yep, we can do everything. They will pitch their solutions as silver bullets, as I've said there. Like, there are no silver bullets. They will never be in a position that you have to figure out, get the right people first to advise you, than investing in technology, because there really are no silver bullets. There will always be something that you have to change. No systems will work out of the box for you. You will always have to get stuff changed or customized to your own needs. I'd really encourage you to figure out first, before you do any of that, actually what your customers need first, depending on your product, your brand, and where you're trading. If you do that first, focus on the people, your talent, your partners, you will build the right systems for your customers, I think. But yeah, please take away, don't just listen to vendors. Find agencies and trusted partners first. Do it that way around, as opposed to just going out to the market and spending your money, because that will probably not end so well. Okay, a little bit more on teams. Like I said, I like talking about teams. I like building teams. I think one of the things that I've also learned in my career is most teams look like this up on the screen. Like, people are got their heads all over the place, and they're thinking about other things. And projects, delivery, all of the programs that I sat through have probably failed when people look like this, because people just simply aren't aligned. You have different views of what's important. There's conflict in a team. You have tension, politics, all of that kind of stuff creeps in. And there are ways to avoid this kind of thing, basically. And the number one thing, as I've already said to you, is hire the right people. Give them the training and the tools to not look like that. And do your planning bottom up. And by bottom up, I mean start with the people that are going to do the thing that you want them to do. Get them bought into the thing that you want them to do, as opposed to telling them. Because if you can do that, you can get them all looking like this and going in the same direction. If you can get teams going in the same direction, you'll start to get results, basically. It's hard, and it takes effort. It's not easy, and it's not simple. But it comes down to things like hiring the right people, figuring out what is actually motivating people, not what motivates people in their tasks and roles day to day, but figure out what motivates them in life. Like, where are they actually going, and help them get there. Give them the training, the tools that they need to do their job. Give them the time and the space to do that work. And if you figure out who in your organization or in your team is going to impact the results the most, focus your efforts on those ones, basically. One of the ways that we do that in terms of setting goals that are easily aligned across the business, we use OKRs, objectives and key results. You could look that up. That's useful to set goals within teams, and it's handy. And I think, if you can get all your teams going in that direction, you will improve your customer experience. You will, get more market share, and you'll get the top line and bottom line growth that you desire. So I hope that resonates quite well with you in terms of how it's to build teams and get them all swimming in the same direction. Okay, I'm going to wrap up now, and then maybe we'll just have 5 minutes for a quick Q&A. If there isn't Q&A, then I can hang about there at the side of the stage to take any questions if you want to talk there as well. So just to wrap up, some key takeaways, my learnings actually over my career. I think number one is just really focus on the basics. Going back to that map I showed you, really focus on the basics of a good experience, delivery, selling, and so on. Make it really simple for customers to shop your brand and product. Make your product distinctive. By that I mean basically try and differentiate the brand through value adds, experiences. You can do that if you understand what your customer needs are. So do that work as well. Use customer insight and data to plan. Be pragmatic in the sense that, going back to technology, it will only ever get you so far. Be pragmatic in the sense that sometimes things will just do. Like you can live with something not working 100% perfectly if it's delivering 90% of the results. So be pragmatic in that sense. I think it's super important that you as leaders or owners of your own business, like set that vision, tell your team where they want to go. Make sure the execution is good, but above all, actually, really just focus on hiring and nurturing the talent that are going to deliver that vision. Okay, so I hope that's been useful. Is there any questions around team building for your digital business, or actually anything else around digital? Nope. Okay. As I said, I will hang about to the right of the stage here for 10 minutes or so if you want to have a chat. And thank you very much, everyone. I wish you happy selling.